as life would have it. There's a problem with this door closer. I have removed the plastic cover because it's going to be replaced. What's wrong with it is that it hits the top of the door. You can see how the underside of this arm rubs against the top of the door, and it gouged it out really badly. So there, it hits like that. So this is how the top of the door looks like. It's noisy, and it gouged out the door over the years. It's going to be replaced with a brand new closer and arm whose pivot point here is more secure. They all have a little bit of a play. There you can see it. So removal or mounting is fairly straightforward. 2 screws came out of this one from the closer arm. 2 pins line up here into this bracket, and 2 screws came out of this one. So there's 2, 4, 5 screws and 2 pins. And let's have a look at them. This is the 2 pins that line up with the bracket, and because it's identical model replacement, just almost identical. This is 1461, this is 1460. So hopefully they improved the design, but I'm guessing they improved it internally, if anything. So the old one could be perfectly serviceable, but this is the problem. The closer arm is mounted, it's moving too much. Okay, this is just too much. But the reason for this motion is that the screw is not tight on enough in the first place. It's stuck all right, it doesn't rotate freely, so it needs pliers or vice grips or something, because it's stuck inside. So something has damaged the screw threads there. And on the new design, the arm also has a bit of a play, but nowhere near the gap underneath the head like on this old one. So that will hopefully solve the problem, that the arm is not gonna drop down spectacularly on this new one with the screw properly in place or bolt. So I've just removed the bolt from this old closer and separated the closer arm. There's nothing wrong with this closer, and the thread inside there is in perfect condition. So the closer is innocent. The arm is in perfect condition. It's not worn out or anything. So what led to this arm dropping and scraping the top of the door off for decades is that this screw is also in perfect condition, but you can see there's a little bit of a thread lock compound on it, this yellow color. So it wasn't tightened enough in the hole because there's not enough space, too close to the ceiling tile, and the people who tried to tighten that bolt just couldn't. So I'm mounting the arm on the new closer down here where I can apply force to it, so it's seated properly, mounted properly, and that's going to eliminate the problem. So this is the tight vertical space that doesn't allow a screwdriver or a hand barely to be fitted in this space. So now that everything is removed, let's take a look at how well this template fits. Let's line up the holes first. Why not? So this one, these 2 holes for the bracket look like they line up pretty well, and then these 2 holes for the tail end looks like it lines up pretty well. If it's out, it's going to be immediately obvious. And I can see that this line here should be, it says top edge of door. This is not making a whole lot of sense. This is off by an inch or something. Something is not making sense. And these 2 holes, there should be 2 holes underneath there, and that's not even close, but Let's see if I can mount it back in the same spot and still make it work. I think it's immediately obvious that the old mounting bracket for the old closer body is not compatible with the new one. I hope the holes line up well enough. So far so good. I mounted the first plate. The screws are on a bit of an angle. Say they are off by a millimeter or so, a 32nd of an inch. You can see that angle on this second screw here. We'll call it a test fit at this point. Alright, the screws went in and it's fairly solid on the door here. Now let's see how this arm lines up. Okay, it's drooping under its own weight, and remember that this may be off an inch, but it looks like this is a pretty neutral position. So if I go for these two holes or those, whatever, or something's gonna line up, it looks like it's just gonna work. Okay, the screws are in place. Now let's tighten the closer arm so that this leg is 90 degrees to the header. So it looks good on paper. Let's test it, as this is a test fit. Let's see how it works. Okay, not hitting the top of the door. That helps. It's squealy alright at the hinges. That's another issue. Let's see the clearance that we have. Yeah, we have generous clearance there to the top of the door. We have just about enough clearance here. There. It's good. It's not hitting the top of the door. I could mount this one a little bit higher. I might do it, but this one works as is. Remember, the template was indicating that this one is an inch too low or some such thing. That's why this is this pivot point here, it just barely clears the top of the door. Remember this paper, this is how it should be used, folded along the dotted line like so. And part of the reason why this pivot point here is so close to the top of the door is because simply these four holes here on this paper template are higher than those four mounting points a little bit. So that's that. All right, I moved that mounting point half an inch up. Holes in the header already. Let's see the clearance. Okay. Yeah, the closer pivot point is, the closer arm pivot point is still scraping the top of the door because the closer is mounted too low on the door. So this whole thing needs to go up exactly as indicated by the template. So back at the shop here, it looks like that the door has won this round because the closer arm is still hitting the top of the door, but that's not the case. There were two problems with the original door closer. One, as indicated by this paper template, the closer body was mounted too far down on the door by an inch or half an inch or whatever amount. If I just look across the shop here and take a look at that door, I can see how close the closer body is to the top edge of the door, very simply. And on the door I was working on, the closer body is an inch below the top edge, so that's too far down. And problem number two was that the closer arm was too wobbly because this bolt wasn't driven properly deep enough into this threaded bolt on the closer body. So I eliminated one out of the two problems. The closer arm is mounted properly, and yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the template, raise the height of the closer body so that it works exactly as designed. All right, team consensus has been reached. It's not good enough. It's coming off the door and the template is going on. It's going to be mounted at the correct height this time. And of course, I'm going to pre-drill the new screw location. Length of screw indicated by my high-tech green masking tape and the diameter there. Alright, this is the new position and this is how it works. I think it is pretty clear that it clears the top of the door by a vast margin. That's how it should have been installed 30 years ago by the person who installed it wrong in the first place. Alright, that's a win. Now the geometric oddity is point and there in this room here, the door hits the paper towel holder box as it opens. So somebody brilliantly mounted this right here in the path of the door. Well, I'm not fixing that today.